So enough talking, let's scan this thing. So here we have the live data. Really points to this being a bad sensor. For the most part with these oxygen sensors, you can't tell when they go bad on the outside. It's an internal flaw. Welcome back to Budget Mechanic. Today we're talking about oxygen sensors and how to diagnose and fix them. Now for this job you will need a code reader. But don't worry, there are some very affordable options that work just fine, and we'll talk about them in a bit. Today I have a Honda that a customer brought me that the check engine light went off, so she took it in, got the code read, and it was an oxygen sensor code. So today we're going to figure out if that's actually what's going on, which oxygen sensor it might be, and how we're going to fix it. This here is an oxygen sensor. It's just a little doohickey, goes in your exhaust system, and it senses how much oxygen is in your exhaust stream and tells the computer what adjustments need to be made so that the car runs better. When you have an actual bad oxygen sensor, the car might run a little rough, or you might get really decreased gas mileage. But in order to really pinpoint if it is the sensor, you need a diagnostic scanner. Now, just like we said, the lady got her code read and it said an oxygen sensor code, but there's a couple other things that could trick an oxygen sensor into throwing that code, such as a blown head gasket that's allowing coolant to get into your exhaust and foul the sensor. You could have a catalytic converter go bad and plug the exhaust system, which throws off the oxygen sensors. And you want to check it with a scanner before you go out and buy a new sensor. Now, any scanner, even a real cheap one, is going to tell you the trouble code. Basically, the check engine light comes on, it'll give you the code. But it may not tell you what we need, which is live data. So if you're going to diagnose oxygen sensors properly, you need that live data, which basically means you can see systems live when the car is running. So I have a scanner here. It's a little bit more expensive, like 200 bucks. That definitely shows live data and some little charts you can watch while the car is running. If you don't want to spend $200 on a code reader, there are some cheaper options out there. For as low as like $20 online, you can get a code reader that works just fine, has the live data, even some that connect to your phone via Bluetooth. We'll include a link to those in the description. What you do sacrifice when you go with a cheaper code reader is they're a bit slower to connect to the car and to process the data, so it can take a little bit longer. And also they can lack some features that make the info easier to read, like they don't have the graphing systems, or the menus are a little bit harder to understand. But the basic information is there to allow you to diagnose oxygen sensors. So enough talking, let's scan this thing. We plug our scan tool into the OBD2 port, turn the key into the ignition position, and we let it connect. So like they told her at the auto parts store, she's got a problem with the oxygen sensor on bank 1 sensor 2. There's multiple oxygen sensors in a car's system. This car is a 4-cylinder, so it only has 1 bank and 2 sensors. But if you have a V6 or a V8, the cylinders are broken up into 2 parts, bank 1 and bank 2, and each bank has at least 2 oxygen sensors, an upstream and a downstream. Let's get into the live data. So for that, we're going to start up the car. And you want to make sure the car is warmed up. So run it for 5 minutes or get it up to operating temperature, because when the car's cold, it may give you inaccurate oxygen sensor data. So here we have the live data, all the different categories. We're going to go down and try to find oxygen sensors. Here we go. O2 sensor, bank 1, sensor 1. So you can see that it's giving us a number readout, 0.01 milliamps. So some sensors give you milliamps, that's the current. Other sensors will spit out a voltage, but this scanner has a cool feature where you enter this section and it will actually give you a live graph of the readout on that sensor. I'm already liking what I see in that it's a fluctuating graph, which means it's active. And then I can do stuff like stomp on the brake a few times, which will introduce a lean condition. And you see that blip on the graph. Or I can do a big throttle hit and release, and that'll cause another couple blips. So what I'm looking for here is not really specifically numbers as much as that it's responding to the engine changes, which means it's a live sensor. I am interested that the milliamps are around 0. That's a good balanced reading. If they go below like -2 or above 1.5, that's sort of like your maximums. And you can see right above it, this section, lambda bank 1 sensor 1, is kind of another system of looking at air fuel mixtures. And it's a somewhat similar looking graph. the numbers you want to be closer to 1. 1 is balanced, and the farther you go below or above that is imbalanced. And it'll react the same way when I do throttle and release, and then it normalizes. Okay, so we found our Bank 1 Sensor 2 oxygen sensor, which is the one that the check engine light code was about, and it's the second one in the stream. It comes after the catalytic converter in your exhaust system. And this is giving us a readout in volts. So like I said, some are in current milliamps and some are in volts. This one's giving us volts. So we open that up and it starts drawing our graph. And immediately I'm noticing two things. It's a flat graph. It's just going straight across, no fluctuations. Even when I rev it up, no change. Brake push, no change. And not only is that value not changing, it's pretty high. So when you're talking about voltage, you want that to be 0.1 to like 0.9 volts generally. That's outside of that range, which is not good. And also this flat line really points to this being a bad sensor that needs to be replaced. Before we get into it, make sure you subscribe to Budget Mechanic, leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up, hit that alert bell, and you won't miss on any upcoming content. Okay, so we know we need to replace the Bank 1 Sensor 2 oxygen sensor. First, we got to find it. On every car, it's going to be a little bit different. On some cars, the Bank 1 Sensor 1 is going to be right here in the engine compartment. Coming right off the engine, it's right there. On other cars, like this one, the Bank 1 Sensor 1 is actually underneath the car, pretty close to sensor number 2. This is a 4-cylinder, but if you had a 6-cylinder or an 8-cylinder in a V configuration, then you're going to have 2 banks, 1 bank for each side. Cylinders are arranged off-center, so there's always going to be a set of cylinders, if you're V6 or V8, that's closer to the front of the engine than the other, and that's going to be bank 1. Front of the engine generally means the side with your pulleys and your belts and like your alternator and power steering, stuff like that. You look at the spark plug that is closest to the front of the engine, that's going to be your bank 1. And the other bank is going to be number 2. Okay, so I'm under the car and I'm following the exhaust coming down from the engine, and I can see here is sensor 1. This is bank 1 sensor 1. Here's the catalytic converter, and you have sensor 2. Sensor 2 is actually in the catalytic converter, which happens sometimes, but this is the one we want to work on. Old rusty exhaust shield that's coming apart. Before I start taking the actual sensor out, I'm going to follow the wire up to where it connects. It's a little tab and a pull. Now, if you do get one that's super stuck or it's in a really awkward position, they do make an oxygen sensor socket tool, which is a split socket where the wire can fit through it, and it just makes it a little bit easier. You get a little more leverage, and it's a little bit more of a secure hold. For the most part with these oxygen sensors, you can't tell when they go bad on the outside. It's an internal flaw. Okay, so we're going to put the new one in. It comes with a plastic cover, which I'm going to take off. And it's nice, it came with the anti-seize goo already on it. And this is a Denso sensor, which is a pretty good quality. It's sort of the OEM for Honda. So I try to go with that for Hondas, so I don't have to do this again in 3 months. Okay. So now that the new sensor is in, we're going to go plug in the scan tool and see how it looks. Before I start the car up, I'm going to put the key in the ignition position and then erase the codes that were stored in the computer so that we start with a clean slate, and if any engine codes are going to pop up, they will be fresh ones. Okay, so we're in the live data, and we're going to come down to our Bank 1 Sensor 2. Here she is. And already I'm seeing a value that is kind of nominal, whereas before it was like over, right? And it was fixed. This is a changing number. So that's a good sign so far. We're going to open the graph up. There we go. So we're getting slight fluctuations, which is really good. The sensor is alive. And those readings are roughly around 0.66 volts, which is dead nuts in between our 0.1 and 1 volt kind of range. So I'm pretty happy with what I'm seeing on the scanner. Points to that we fixed our problem. If you're interested in saving more money on car repairs, make sure you check out some of our other videos.